Hello everyone on Women's Dialogues. And I'm your host Shashi to create more voice for women and by women. And today's our guest joining us from Los Angeles, California. The very famous media and glamour world personality, Bianca B.
How are
Bianca
you?
B is a TV personality, producer, and author. So welcome Bianca to Women Dialogues.
Hi, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. It's a great pleasure for you having on this platform. So, as you are a strong women and who are changing the traditional definition of women by your work around the globe, each time, each moment, or each day. So, what was your early life and how it contributed to your life journey to the way you are today?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan, and I grew up loving entertainment. I love TV, I love dance, and I just knew entertainment was something that I really wanted to do. And I went to dance school, and then after dance, I went to college in LA, and I fell in love with film. And film has helped me because there's so many different dynamics of filmmaking. There's behind the scenes, in front of the camera, and I fell in love with talk show format, and talk shows just really are, I just love talk shows. I love understanding people's lives and learning their stories. So for me, being from Michigan and just idolizing LA, and I always told my parents, like, I'm going to move there, I'm going to move there one day, and I manifested it, and I'm here today, and it's been the best experience ever for me.
Wow, that's so much fascinating and having so much inspiration itself when you are sharing about your work, about your journey. So, as you started at very young age your work in TV, media industry, and moved to a new city and place, so-called Los Angeles. So, how was your experience? What kind of difficulties you faced, or was it very planned or smooth move?
Yeah, so when I graduated high school, I just told my mom once again that I wanted to move to LA. And I didn't get into USC or UCLA, which were my top schools. And so we researched and we were like, well, there's a school out there that, you like filmmaking, you love social media, you like editing. Why don't you go to school for film? So I ended up registering to move, and I ended up moving there to LA. And I remember like my first experience, I wasn't sure like what part of film I wanted to do. So I just did everything from PA work to wrangling cords to writing scripts, casting. And like I said, I fell in love with talk shows. And I remember when I first started school, I'm glamorous. I like glam. I love fashion. And people always thought I was a fashion student, or like other women in school would be like, well, you dress too girly. You dress too girly. You need to tone it down. You need to be a little bit more masculine. And I felt like, well, this is me. This is who I am. Why can't I produce TV and still be in glam? So for me, that was motivation to, I can be a pretty face or a glam face and do behind the scenes work and be taken seriously. And also being young and like working for all these different television networks, um, you're always constantly tested on your capability. Um, People try to overshadow you, or you feel like you're not enough. You constantly doubt yourself in entertainment. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna keep going. I moved so far away. I was 17 years old. Now I'm 27. So I've lasted in LA and I made it. So I feel accomplished. Every day is a journey. There's often days as other women, we doubt ourselves a lot and we question ourselves. And is this for me? And
Yeah.
every time I question something, someone writes me a sweet message, or even things like this, what we're doing now, like I was like, oh my God, I have to be a part of this. This is cool. So whenever I doubt myself, those blessings come in. So
Mhm. Yeah, that's so much learning, and the way you explained about those challenges in terms of like girly, or maybe you can say in feminine versus masculine personality, which they try to portray in media behind the camera or in front of camera. So when we are talking about these kind of challenges, um, we very often we hear when we are talking about these especially these media industry and this, all TV and filmmaking and all these kind of work. When we are talking about, it's kind of very uh, definitely on media, what they show is different than what behind the camera. So any kind of incident or a story you would like to bring where you find like they really try to promote on camera is different than behind the camera, and which really hamper your own thinking or own growth.
Yeah, as far as like what happens behind the scenes, a lot of people, because my main area of film is booking the guests for the shows.
Right.
So a show such as the last show I worked on, the Mel Robbins show, there it was like a life-changing show. So there were people coming to the show with problems, and these are people with real life problems that we were trying to solve. And some people are afraid to own their baggage. So for us, we had a lot of cancellations. We had a lot of bookings cancel, miss their flights because they didn't want to talk about their real life story on television. So for me as a booking producer during that time, it was very stressful, long hours. And the booking is the most valuable part of a talk show. It's the most important thing. So it was a lot of pressure on me. I had moved to New York, and I was there for a year, and I was new to the city, so I didn't know a lot of people. So a lot of things I had to start from scratch. I went to, I lived in LA for like 8 years, and then got this job and moved to New York. And like I said, I knew no one. So I had to really put my heart and soul into my career, because it was like, either that or you ain't gonna pay your bills, you're gonna get fired. So I had to really, really focus and tap into a stronger work ethic. And for people who like look at TV and say, oh, it looks so glamorous, it looks so much fun, people thought I was living a wonderful life because of social media, but little do they know I stayed up to 3 o'clock in the morning booking a guest because someone canceled last minute. So those things happen a lot, and executives in the entertainment industry change their minds a lot, especially with budgeting. So that's why a lot of shows get canceled, because of budgeting. Sometimes it's not even the show in itself, it's just executives change their mind a lot. And I think that people, when you go from freelance to freelance, gig to gig, talk show to talk show, people forget that this is still a job. And sometimes these executives change their mind, and it's not your fault. It doesn't mean that you did a bad job because a gig just stopped or a show just got canceled. So I had to learn after college that this is entertainment. People change their minds so much. And even as an actor, or if you're moving to LA and want to be an actress or a musician, you're going to get a lot of rejection, and you're going to get a lot of discouraging moments, because people change their mind, and you think you got your big break, and they're like, nope, we canceled. So I think, if I give advice or share, what I've learned is that, it's not you. Sometimes it's budgeting. Sometimes it's people change their minds a lot. So don't get discouraged and say, oh, I'm not talented because I didn't book my dream job, or I didn't get that audition, or I didn't get that booking or that producing job. Just remember that it's not you sometimes. So that's what I've learned. Long story short.
Yeah, that's definitely, it's wonderful advice, and especially when especially when we are talking about the girls who are similar age, having a lot of ambition and a lot of plans and dreams, and but they have those kind of moments in their life, or maybe their own fear.
Yeah.
So that's really important to how they can overcome their challenges. Any other thing, like since you step out very early age from your own home environment, very from your comfort level, uh, as I was already mentioned, like many girls, they have those kind of dream and ambition, but they have fear. So any other particular advice would you like to give to them, how they can overcome that kind of fear?
Yeah, fear is an internal thing. internal thing. It's that little voice in your head that says that you can't do something, or it's your parents or it's your family. I had a lot of people tell me like, oh, LA is expensive, or you can't make it in LA, or why are you moving to New York? Why? And when my intuition tells me to do something, I do it. And I think a lot of us don't follow our intuition enough. And for me, my advice to girls who are fearful is you don't want to live life with regret and say, I wish I would have done that. Sometimes we can be in predicaments, like I said, with our family, where it's like, oh, you can't do this, or you're in a bad relationship and you can't get out. Like, just have that inner voice in your head and stop it and say, I can do this. I am capable of doing this, and don't be fearful. I know it sounds so like easier said than done, but there were tons of moments. I remember like moving to New York, for example. I was working on the Steve Harvey show, and that show ended up ending at NBC in LA. And I ended up meeting this woman, and I was like, well, I don't know what I'm gonna do next. And she was like, what do you want to do next? And I was like, well, I want to work for this lady, Mel Robbins. I know she has a show. And she was like, oh, I know all the producers there, but you know it's in New York. And I was like, well, I have family in New York. I lied and said I have family. And she was like, well, send me your resume and I'll send it over. And I moved literally in 14 days. A lot of people thought I was crazy. But my gut told me, like, you have to go to New York. You're going to build certain skill sets that you didn't know. So when you have that little voice inside of you, that intuition, that feeling, go for it. And don't listen to other people's opinions. And if you failed, just know it was a learning lesson, and it's a skill set that you learned that you would take further on in your life, you know? So that's my advice.
Yeah, that's very important, that feel your gut feeling and don't take your failure as a failure. Take it like as an experience for your life. And that's kind of very motivating and inspiring, when, especially when we are talking about those kind of dull changes or challenging moments or difficulties in our life. And same time, when we are talking about your journey, you are a founder of the Bianca B Show as well.
Yes.
And you are co-founder of BCV Media Consulting. It is all about empowering millennials and creating change in
Yeah.
digital media world. So tell us about your this work, and you are doing a lot of work. So tell us about our
Yeah.
work and all to our audience.
Yeah, so when I was in college, I created a show. I said I love talk shows, and I created a show called the Bianca B Show. And it was something with a group of me and my classmates. I had asked them, like, hey, I had this blog when I was 16, and I was like, hey, I want to start this show. I'm going to interview people with inspiring stories and entertainment. And we created the show, and it lasted for like 4 or 5 years. And when I was in college, we had access to all this free studio equipment. And it was a lot of trials and error, because a lot of people were like, oh, Bianca, she's taking all the studio space, or Bianca has all of this and that. And so it was a lot of self-doubt and a lot of negativity. But I knew that the Bianca B Show would put me on the map and really help my social media following. And I just genuinely had loved interviewing people. I just love, and I'm intrigued by people's lives. And when I started that show, I was 19. It lasted until I was like 24. And after college, life gets real. You have bills, you have responsibilities. I couldn't afford to pay people. You know, everyone has their family, or we're out of college. So I basically started a social media company with my best friend in 2017. I passed the company over to him because I wanted to start my cosmetics line, because I love beauty. And people on set will always ask me, who does your makeup? Who does your makeup? And I'm like, oh, me. And I decided to create BFF Cosmetics because I love makeup. And although, like I said, I've done film, I'm such a girly girl, and I just enjoy makeup and just making people feel beautiful, and just waking up and being your best version of you when you go into work, when you go into on set and in the office. Like, that was my goal and vision. And I'm here today and still focused. And I'm actually going to turn Bianca B Show into a podcast,
Nice.
just because of COVID, and I thoroughly enjoy interviewing people. And now that I know so much about talk shows, I feel like I
Right.
can execute better, and I've experienced more of life. I think when
Yeah.
I was 19, I didn't know anything, and I was getting advice and I didn't know anything. Now being 27, I'm a lot more wiser. I've learned a lot more things and more healing that I had to do on a personal level to be the best version of me. So I'm turning the show into a podcast. I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, that's super exciting, and I think congratulations in advance for your future plans and all. But apart of that, as you got Young Entrepreneur Award as well, and you
Mhm.
have done a lot of like small marketing business associate from the associations and all. And a part of that, since you shared about like a lot of your plans and business and all, uh, tell us more about your future plan, like which you are just now mentioning about this cosmetic business line and all. What is all about? What kind of products are there? And especially these, when we are talking about your, I have seen you, I've seen your photographs, and that's wonderful and beautiful photographs. You really, as you mentioned, like you about your makeup and all, it's really like it attracts you altogether in the combination of the way you are putting the dresses and all. So it's really inspiring, and especially when we are talking about this cosmetic line and all. So just tell us about this.
Yes, so I love social media. I feel like that is my love. I feel like, people say you do so many different things, and I have like mad respect for people who are skill set at so many different things. Social media video is all in one. You need all of it. Nowadays, you need social media, you need video, you need audio. They all correlate with each other. So I use my skill sets for BFF Cosmetics with editing the photos, editing the images, creating video content for social media. So BFF Cosmetics, it stands for Beauty Friends Forever. And the concept came about, wrote down in 2014 a 10-year plan. And I was like, I want to have my own cosmetics line this certain year, and I wanted to be launched and be in stores. And Beauty Friends Forever is just, beauty is one thing that comes all together, and
Yeah.
you can share beauty with all your friends. It does not matter their gender, their race. Like, beauty is something that is going to live forever.
Totally.
And started out with lipsticks and lip glosses first, and my goal is to expand. Owning a business is really hard. It's not easy, but I'm taking literally all the skill sets that I've learned from each job, from each experience, from each failure, and making a business that I feel like it's for me. Even when I had circumstances where I was like, God, I want to be an entrepreneur, like, help me, like, what am I supposed to do? And this came about, and I'm using everything I've learned in my corporate jobs, from freelance jobs to brand ambassador work. I'm taking all of those skill sets and putting it into my business. And social media is just the most important thing, because you can connect with women like this, experiences like this. And I just love social media overall. That's why I say I'm a media mogul, because I love media. Anything media, video, audio, photography, like everything all in one. They all come together, especially
Right.
during times.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I totally agree the way you explain, and especially when you are bringing this pandemic time where people are constrained to live in their own life, in their own apartments or in their own houses. I think that's a great source to vent out their energy, their their feelings, their work, and all together they can put together all the energy the way like you explain. And you are beautifully putting, actually. You are really inspiring many young girls and many women around the globe, the way you are putting all together your work on media. So when we are talking all about your work, your life journey and all, so anything like what is the most strong, if I ask you, most strong output and point about your individual internal your leadership quality?
I have to say my biggest quality when it comes to leadership skills is that I have a strong work ethic and I'm good with organization and time management. Those are like my three skill sets that I'm really, really good at and connecting people together. So I have to say those are my good leadership skills. And also, I'm going to say this, I'm coming from Detroit. I've learned a lot about street smarts. I'm street smarts and book smarts, which you need in both in business, and being intuitive and following your gut about people for me is very, very important. So I have to say those are like my skill sets that I'm very, very strong at.
Mhm. Yeah, that's beautiful. And what way do you think, like those kind of feelings and those kind of your work ethics and organizational work ethic and your intuitive feeling and your gut feeling and all mm, can support you, or in general, if I talk about the audience who are listening, follow these similar kind of pattern in their life?
Yeah, I think first off, you can't procrastinate. If I could give any advice to people, it's like, do not procrastinate. If you have a
Mhm.
goal, just write it down on paper first. Say, okay,
Yeah,
you say you want to
that's
be a millionaire. Okay, cool. Write
so
it down
important.
on a piece of paper and say, I'm going to be a millionaire.
Yeah.
Then create strategic plans. And I recently just learned this too from someone I was working for, but being strategic, like I said, I've done so many things. Now it's like being strategic about, okay, what am I good at? You know, even with editing and video, I know that I'm good in front of the camera. I can set up lights, I can edit, but I know that my strongest skill sets is work ethic, communication, connecting people. So in the future, I can hire people. That's the ultimate goal. But going back to your question, writing it down on a piece of paper, being strategic about what am I strong at? What do I need to learn? Who are my influences and who do I look up to in this field of work that I want to do? And like
Right.
those top steps will help you. And you can't, get discouraged when things don't go the way that you plan to. I think we always have all these different plans, but sometimes it doesn't go the way that we did because something is better.
Right.
The second thing is budgeting.
Mhm.
If you do, I know a lot of people want to leave their corporate jobs, 9 to 5s, and say, I want to be an entrepreneur, but a lot of people don't understand with 9 to 5s, it's still a great asset to have a 9 to 5, I can say,
Mhm.
because you can take that money and flip it and put it into your business. You can learn different skill sets and learn how, like, pros and cons of leadership skills on, okay, I've seen this in my workplace. I wouldn't do that as a boss. Me having many bosses, I learned like what pros and cons I would do if I had a business. So I know a lot, like I said, I know a lot of people want to be like, I want to leave my 9 to 5, but know when you're ready. And that's when you'll know when you follow your gut.
Yeah.
So those are like some steps and strategic things and advice I would give to young people out there.
Yeah, that's definitely very strong, and I can say the right to the point. The way you explained about the how one have to map out, or how one have to chalk out their plan rather than just procrastinating. And what do you think, the what way the your viewers or audience, or what way you can in long term keep influencing them with your work and with your cosmetic line, with all the work, because it is definitely, as if you were talking about your future plans, so it is kind of definitely important to keep them intact and keeping them that kind of on that mode. And it's challenging, it is not easy, because as you said, people switch over, and even in me, when we're talking about these media show, where you was working earlier in your earlier time, in the same way it is in media, if I may, if I'm not wrong. I think
Oh,
so.
yeah, yeah. Um, Basically, I feel as though with media in general, and my long-term goal is just to create everything and put it all into one package, and being raw and being real and telling my story. I feel like the more honest you are with your audience, they will feel like it's relatable. Yeah, you can look at my pictures and see the glam and all that stuff, but look at the caption. The caption tells my story. Look at my vlogs, look at my YouTube channel. I have videos of me having a mental breakdown because I was so frustrated. Me moving back and forth, me talking about failure, me talking about being young and, you know, writing 2 books and doing all this stuff, and the negative bank accounts, being in debt. Like, I talk about those things because I feel like you can look at people and be like, oh, she has an amazing life, but there's a lot of stuff that happens behind the scenes that I share with my audience. And a lot of people have been following me since I was 16, 17 years old. And just this 10 years of life, I've changed and grown a lot, and I'm more confident in myself. Yeah, I doubt myself a lot, and I'm trying to get out of that habit, but I know at the end of the day that my audience will stay with me through this journey, and people buy from me, people buy my product. I feel like you are your brand at the end of the day, and whatever you want to choose or do, your brand, if you build a solid audience, will support that. So if I said I want to do a cooking show, I don't know how to cook, but if I said I wanted to do a cooking show, my audience will follow me through learning how to cook because they've supported me. So my advice to people is, when you go on social media, go with a purpose and a plan, and know that you are your brand. So when you step out the house, and I have a cosmetics line, I have to wear beauty products, I have to look glam because that's what I'm selling.
Right.
I'm my brand. So remember that you are your brand. If you choose to, you know, use your name and your face for it, but yeah, you are your brand, and whatever you do, your audience will follow.
Yeah, yeah. I like the way you explain, because definitely it is when we are talking about in long term, initially people really get influenced with social media by seeing those glamour and all. But the way you explain the putting those caption or tag, or finding other way your story in the real way to connect with you, it
Yeah.
or in anyone's, right, whoever is trying to create their work, or being an influencer. So definitely, as I totally agree with you, in long term you are yourself a brand, and fake brand doesn't work. Fake brand doesn't go on long run, because uh, people feel connection, people want to see the real thing. we
Yeah.
we all know what is everywhere. We can see what is real thing, but uh, fake thing can attract for a smaller purpose, or a small, for a small way. So
Mhm.
that's really impressive, and that's a really honest thing which you share, and
Mhm.
I really love that. I really like the way you explained, actually. And because I always feel like, very few get that courage, the way you explained, the true way to become to yourself, rather than just creating those fake stories. So
Yeah.
it's impressive. But last one thing I would like to ask, as you shared all your story, your work plan and all, what do you think the platform like this, Women Dialogue, is needed?
I love this, and I looked at your YouTube channel, and I was so honored that you reached out to me. Like I said, I've been doubting myself lately, and every time I question if I'm supposed to do something, things like this pop up. But I think that this is important because we're in 2 different countries, and I met a new friend. You can meet new friends. You can get advice from other women, and being in your 20s, it's hard. It's not easy. You learn a lot through life, and having a platform like this, and viewing people who've had hardships and trials and tribulations and blessings, you can get inspired when you're feeling doubtful. You can go to a platform like this. So what you're doing is amazing, connecting women all over the world, and I feel like this is something that we need, and it's positive. I think we're so used to negativity that we need platforms like this that are positive and gets us back on track. So I thank you so much. I'm truly grateful.
Thank you. I'm really so humbled and honored to hear that, because uh, I think the first time I'm hearing that, because every time I was feeling like, okay, people say, okay, you have that much like, that much subscribe, but I said, no, I want to create those real stories and those real, authentic, feminine, those female, those are coming and having courage to share their stories in a positive way, what they really have gone through. I'm not gonna create any negative movement. I'm not gonna do that.
Yes.
As you know, our human mind catches negativity so fast, and uh, people were saying like, okay, you should put that, you should do that. I said, no, I can't do that. You will get more these things, you will get more viewers, you will get more subscriber, people will follow you. I said, no, it is okay. I'm fine. I'm at my end when I'm sleeping and on my bed, I'm peace of my mind that I did something good, whether it is going long, it's a lot of like, as you were saying, initial success or long-term success. That's two different definition, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. And even when you look at numbers too, because a lot of people be like, oh, you have low likes or low views, but it feels good. And like you said, short term versus long term. You want to be long term and not instant success. In my opinion, I've always lived that method. Like long term is everything for me. So if it takes me longer, okay, but I did it the right way. So keep going, girl.
Thank you once again. Thank you so much, Bianca. I know you said a lot of things. You really shared a lot of things with our audience. But last one thing, if we ask in a short one line, what would it be?
About me or in general?
In general, for your life experiences, from everything, whatever. If I try to say, okay, bring it in one line for our audience, what would it be?
Bianca B is beauty, entertainment, and everything in between.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think that's beautiful because we have to find our own beauty as whatever way we can fill that beauty in our life by using Bianca B or by using our, spiritual or our ethics all the way. That is beautiful.
Thank you.
And once again, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks to, yeah. And thanks to all viewers. If you would like to hear more women voices and part of Women Dialogues, please connect with us. Please share, subscribe, like, and thank you. See you in the next episode. Don't forget to check Bianca B work. I will put the details in the description below as well. So please follow her, like her, subscribe her, and find your cosmetic line with Bianca B. See you next time. Till then, stay safe. Bye-bye.